Hello guys and welcome back. So I do have something I want to add to the wall because this is like a painting gallery. I want to have some frame right on the wall. Let me pause the render. Now I do create something like this in designer. It's basically the frame of Mona Lisa, right? I'm just change that back to plain Harris, and now I really want to tile it. So I'm gonna change the tile into just one, because this is what I have. Okay, so I'm gonna use this guy. Okay, so one thing I did do a little bit differently here is that not only I'm having all those textures, I have one more texture for opacity. Okay, and that's generated by the first shape of the frame. Okay, anyway, so I'm gonna go to frame, click on it, and I'm gonna export output as bitmap. Okay, and then put it into my material techniques and source image. I'm gonna say frame, and then put it in there. Okay, now we have all the base set up here and export outputs. Okay, now when that is done, then I can go back to Maya and we can start trying to add that on top. Okay, so to add things on top of another thing, you can of course create a new model and do that. That's probably the better choice here, but just for the sake of it, I can show you how we can blend it together. And that's more suitable actually for blending more complicated stuff, like if you wanted to have like extra paste on top, you can of course do that, but let's use the frame, which is kind of like really fun to do. Anyway, so I'm gonna create a material called AI mix shader. Okay, I'm gonna middle mouse drag the shader's shading group to the wall. Okay, and I don't need that shading group anymore, so delete it. I'm gonna call this guy AI or just wall blend. Okay, blended material. Okay, and then grab this material. I'm gonna middle mouse drag the wall material to shader 1. Okay, for shader 2, I'm gonna create another AI standard surface. Okay, I'll delete that shading group, of course. I'm middle mouse drag this guy to shader 2. I'm gonna call this guy frame material. All right. So after this, I'm gonna create a node called AI image. The AI image is basically the Arnold version of Maya. I don't think it's better than Maya, just because in Maya you can use one place 2D node to control a lot of textures. This is called decoupling stuff. So one feature is not embedded into another feature, so you can use one to control all others. Well, this is coupling the controlling of the UV coordinate inside of the node. This is not very good from a programmer's point of view. This is kind of like, I don't know why they did that. If there is a place 2D node for Arnold, that would be perfect. But it's in here. I guess this is for the ease of use for artists, but I don't know. I think this is better. Okay. Anyway, so the reason we're using this is because this is more compatible with Arnold, and some of the features we need to use is not going to be possible here. Anyway, so this is a image node for Arnold. I'm going to go to image name and I'm going to load the texture I created. So it's going to be in the source image frame, and then I'm going to load the base color here and just load it. Okay, and then grab the frame material and middle mouse drag it to the color. All right, cool. So again, the problem is if I have all those textures, I want to tile it or change the size of it, I have to go to every individual one and change it. Well, in Maya's method, you change this one only. Okay, so we can still fix that. Let me go grab, create a place 2D texture node. Okay, so it's in here. All right, and I'm gonna connect it myself. So holding down Shift and middle mouse button, drag it over there. So the connection will be the UV scale. So repeat UV. U will go the scale. S, V goes to T scale. So what's happening here is that the repeat UV here goes to the scale UV here. Okay, that's exactly the same thing basically. I'm gonna need another connection. So translate frame U goes to srub. Actually, not srub, as offset. Sorry about that. Control D to go back. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's okay. So this one goes then to the S offset, and this one goes to T offset. That's the connection, right? So offset U to S, V to T. Repeat, U go to also S, and V goes to T for scale. Okay, so that way the place to the node is controlling it. Okay, anyway, so let's take a look at that. When we now do a render by clicking this play button, you can see we kind of like see the image there. it's blending by half. Okay, so all right, let me stop that. Okay, so after this, I need to have a bunch of copy of this. So I'm gonna grab this guy and go to edit and duplicate special. Okay, so the setting here will be you duplicate it and you duplicate the input connections. Okay, so if you do that now with duplicate special, what you will have, let me actually grab these guys. Those are the layer textures we have earlier. I'm gonna drag that back up and hit P button to pin it there. Don't know why Maya moves stuff when you create new things. Okay, but then we have a new copy here, and this new copy, let me pin out these things. This new copy is connected also, so that's what I want to do. So do that one more time. One more time, just to have a feel of those guys. Okay, so they're all connected now by the same place to the node. All right. So this is the color. Let me hit 3 and take a look. That's the color, right? I need to also pass in other things. So I need to pass in the roughness. Okay, so load that, and then minimouse drag it to the roughness. Okay, it's gonna ask you what to do. So you want to use all color R. Either channel should work. They are the same, and that should connect the specular roughness. So that's gonna be here. Okay. And moving on to the next, I can look for metallic maybe. Okay, and then this time, minimouse drag it to metallic. Again, asking one more time. Color goes to metalness. Okay, and next one will be norm map. So I'm gonna go for norm map. Open that, and that goes to the geometry's bump mapping. Okay, minimouse drag it over there. Alright, that works. Again, I'm gonna grab those guys and pin them so they're not moving in a weird way. Norm map, of course, is gonna use tangent space normal. For it to work with Arnold, you have to uncheck the flip R channel, and you also change color space to raw. Same thing goes to actually the others. So metallic also has to be raw, and where's the roughness? Oh, roughness over here. Roughness has to also be raw. Okay, and one more thing, the opacity. So I'm gonna go down here and load the opacity. Opacity should be fine. Let me just drag it. Oh, actually, opacity is not gonna be here anymore. Opacity will go to actually the mix value here to the blend material. We have a mix weight. So let me minimouse drag it over to the mix weight. I'm gonna use the Alt R to control the mix value. So that way the opacity determines where do we see the frame and where do we not see the frame but see the wall material. Okay, and only one left. That's actually gonna be our height map. We can deal with that later. Let's take a look at what we have now. So go ahead and play the game, or not play the game, hit the play button. You can see now we're basically seeing the frame occupying this area and a little bit of the concrete over there, because that's the only area that the opacity is actually having opacity there. So of course that's not what I want. Maybe I want to put the image here somewhere. So then what I need to do is go to the AI image. Oh, all those guys, I have to tweak one thing actually. I don't want them to be wrapping. So the wrap U and V will be all black. That means they're not repeating. If I make them smaller, they're just gonna be smaller. Okay, so that's something I have to do. Again, you can see I have to change them one by one, which is really annoying. Black and black here. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, Cool. Now back here to the place 2D, we can then start repeating it more. So I'm going to try to use, I believe it should be like something like 12 by 8. Okay. Okay. So now we're repeating a lot. Interesting. We're seeing a lot of, oh, maybe I didn't change the opacity one. That's right. So opacity also has to be black and black. Alright, so we don't see it anymore. That's because when it got shrinked, it actually shrinks to a really small area. So let me pause the render here. Let's take a look at that. I'm gonna go create a little plane here, make it really big, drag it up, and focus on it. Control 1 to isolate. And I'm gonna middle mouse drag this shading group to the plane here, and let's take a look at that. Do a render here. Okay. You can see it's over there. It's really small. Let me rotate it this way. Yeah, so you can see it's over there. So all we have to do is move it here to the middle, because that's where our UV is on the wall. So let's take a look at that. I'm gonna go grab these guys. That's the thing created when we create the plane, so I'm gonna kick that out. So I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna shift you over by using the translate frame. Maybe offset is the better choice, but anyway, negative 0.2, see how does it move, right? So if I do 0.5, it's gonna move to the middle, and then also negative 0.5 to move it to the center there. Okay, I should be able to see it now, so let me go ahead and I should be able to delete that, and then just take a look at where it is on the wall. It's over there. Too far away on the side, so I need to move it to there much closer. I'm gonna try 0.7 instead. Almost exactly where I want it to be. Okay, maybe just a little bit higher. So that means this one has to be 0.55 maybe. All right, cool. Now we have this image added. You can see now we're basically blending it just ourselves, right? Now, one more thing I want to do is I wanted to also bump it out. In this case, because it's bumping out, but it's a really weak normal map. You see the variation here, but the actual data should be done actually by the displacement height map. Okay, so let's move on to actually apply that in the next video. Okay, see you next time.